all you lovebirds out there, welcome to the Nerd Central Valentine's Day special. Today we have a special addition to our show for you, a call-in line. During the show, if your love life is failing and you have no idea how to ignite a spark with that special someone, then you can call this number. Calling this will direct you to our specialist, Mr. Dr. Love Guru Man Jones, who is standing by ready to help you. Let's check in with Mr. Dr. Love Guru Man Jones now.
Why, hello! I am Mr. Dr. Love Guru Man Jones, and I am eager to be joining you, Nerd Central, for this spectacular opportunity to give the young people some love advice, as it is desperately needed in today's day and age.
Thank you for joining us, Mr. Dr. Love Guru Man Jones. I'm sure you will make a lot of people very happy today, but not as happy as the people will be when we kick it to the news. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness will likely acquire a new director for the project, and it is one who is often credited with kicking off the modern superhero genre. It's Sam Raimi, the director of the original Spider-Man trilogy, the best Spider-Man movies. It all makes sense as Sam Raimi's start came from the horror genre, and Marvel has claimed that the Multiverse of Madness will be extremely horror-inspired. All I know for sure is I hope we see that famous car and the legendary Bruce Campbell. Did you think the G.I. Joe films were a dead and lost cause? So did we. But apparently everyone is wrong, because the first images for a solo Snake Eyes film has been released. It makes sense. I mean, can you really name any G.I. Joe character besides Snake Eyes off the top of your head? Oh, looks like we have a call. Let's head over to Mr. Dr. Love Guru Man Jones to receive some free advice.
Oh my! This seems to be our first call. Hello? Uh-huh. Yes. So, the girl you are interested in likes someone else. Huh. What a classic caper you have described to me, sir. Tell me, is this man bigger than you? Oh, okay. Tell me one more thing. Do you know of gorillas? Yeah, yes, like monkey, but bigger. Well, the gorillas, when it's mating season, they will approach their competitors and beat on their chest. I think humanity can learn a lot from gorillas. So, you approach this man, you look at him, you maybe spit a little bit. Yeah, just spit. And then beat on your chest like gorilla. Go do. And then that shall win the hearts of your beloved. You are quite welcome, sir. What a wonderful call that was. Back to you, Krista.
Wise words from a very, very wise man. How about we go to our first pack of the week? Throwing shade.
Hello, my name is Brad and welcome to Throwing Shade, where I talk about the coolest movies where characters wear sunglasses. Why? Because only cool movies have sunglasses. That's why. Since Valentine's Day is coming up, I'm going to talk about this little movie called Baby Driver, an action-packed movie with a bit of romance in it that came out in 2017. The coolest part about this movie, besides the sunglasses of course, is that the movie's action scenes are synced up to the movie soundtrack. This movie is directed by Edgar Wright, who's probably one of the most creative film directors I can think of besides Quentin Tarantino, which is a bit of foreshadowing for next time's segment. The film stars Ansel Elgort, who plays Baby, a young getaway driver who tries to get away from his life of crime after meeting a love interest, who's played by Lily James. Baby suffers from tinnitus from a child accident that resulted in the death of both of his parents. Because of his tinnitus, Baby listens to music in earbuds to drown out the ringing in his ears while he's driving. And this is where the syncing of the soundtrack and action comes into play. I remember the first time I saw this movie in theaters. The first 6 minutes alone made my jaw drop. I had never seen such a cool introduction to a movie like that. I felt like this movie was going to start off like any other crime movie that starts off with a bank robbery. But the focus was not on who was robbing the bank. It was on who was sitting in the car waiting for the robbers to finish their heist. Baby is just sitting in the car, jamming out to Bell Bottoms by the John Spencer Blues Explosion. Baby Goes to the Extremes Within somehow matches the windshield wipers to the beat of the music. And I just knew that this movie was going to be something very clever. The rest of the movie just blew my mind as well, but not as much as the first 6 minutes of the film, and also a later scene where it plays a Barry White song. Part of it feels that the sunglasses that Baby wears in the movie are not just part of his character. They seem to me as a character of their own. I know what you're thinking, but Brad, why would you think that someone wears, like sunglasses, are a character in this movie? Hear me out. I think the glasses make Baby keep his composure when he is driving. Not just the music. With the sunglasses, Baby has this poker face that keeps the other criminals that he works with just guessing about him. What I'm getting at is Baby doesn't seem vulnerable in the first 2 acts of the movie because he's wearing the sunglasses when he's doing his getaway business. But in the 3rd act, he isn't wearing any sunglasses at all. Probably because it's nighttime, but that doesn't matter. But he is vulnerable and he's on the run with his love interest, trying to escape the people he did wrong. The first thing I remember thinking to myself after leaving the theater is, man, I really need to get me a pair of those sunglasses Baby wore in the first part of that movie. There are many pairs of shades in this movie, but man, those first pairs of sunglasses he wore, were just the coolest thing I'd ever seen. I later found out what they were known as. They're Wayfarers. And I ordered a pair, and the rest was history. And until that pair broke, and now been replaced. But you might be thinking, Brett, why didn't you just order a new pair of Wayfarers on the internet? Well, I did, and wasted $20 on these cheap knockoffs. They just weren't the pair I thrived for. But enough about my personal sunglass struggles. Let me determine how cool this movie really is. If you are looking for a similar action movie like Baby Driver, I'd recommend the movie Drive, starring Ryan Gosling. But there's just one little thing that irks me about this movie: the lack of sunglasses on Ryan Gosling's face. No sunglasses, no recommendation. Watch Baby Driver. I will say, this is probably one of the coolest movies ever made. What made it cool, you might ask? The action, the car chases, the music. Yeah, you could say those are cool, but it's the sunglasses that sealed the deal for this cooler than cool movie. I'm Brad, and I'll see you next time on Throwing Shade.
Thanks, Brad. When we come back from the break, we will have more advice from Mr. Dr. Love Guru Man Jones and more packs. Stay tuned.
So you proposed to your girlfriend, but she screams no and immediately runs to Montana. Tell me, is this a thing that happens often? Have you gotten over any of these women? One more question. Are you a gambling man? What you do is you simply put up a Facebook post. That's what they call them in a Love Guru school, saying that you have won the lottery. One of those women will come back to you, and that is the one you propose to first. I love helping people.
Welcome back to the Nerd Central Valentine's Day Extravaganza. You just received more advice from Mr. Dr. Love Guru Man Jones, and we have one more piece of news for you. A long-awaited sequel to a spectacular film from 2015 is finally in the works. The 5th installment to the Mad Max anthology is going to be called Mad Max Wasteland and is set to begin filming this fall. Let's head over to Bailey and see what she has in store for us this season, followed by Cody, aka the DC Defender. Take it away.
Do you feel that? I think there's love in the air. Oh yeah, because this week is Valentine's Day. I do accept chocolates for anyone feeling nice. Anyways, I'm Bailey Ramsey and welcome to my new segment, Fact Check. This semester I'm going to be looking at movies and seeing how realistic they actually are. My first movie I'll be going over is one I hate with a passion because of how cheesy and unrealistic it actually is. Thanks, Ray, for the terrible recommendation. Drum roll. The The Babysitter. This is a Netflix original film from 2017. Just to catch you up, this movie is about a kid whose babysitter is part of a satanic group. He witnesses her and her friends sacrificing a guy and fights against the group to stay alive. Now that you know what this terrible movie is about, let's get to the facts. Fact check number 1. Bella Thorne gets shot in the chest and the side that her heart is on. Somehow she makes it through the whole movie living. How? We don't know. A gunshot to the chest can kill you in seconds, hours, days, and sometimes not at all. But losing too much blood causes you to pass out if the wound isn't properly wrapped. In this case, it's not. So due to the loss of blood, she should have been out this whole movie. We can't say if she would have died or lived. If you are looking at this as if it were real, you would have had to look at the type of gun that was used and how your body reacts to something like a gunshot. The fact that she gets up later in the movie and moves around like she's fine just puts this into trash on how unrealistic it actually is. Fact check number 2. Cole was hiding under his house when one of the babysitter's friends went under there to see if he was there. He made a noise just as she was about to leave. That's when he shot off a big rocket-looking firework.
Or we could just burn your body, Cole. It'd be so beautiful.
Then it blew up, causing him to fly into the air, landing on his back. He had some trouble breathing and was coughing, but as soon as he heard someone behind him, he got up faster than I did when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Falling on your back from around 10 feet can cause a fracture to your spine, knock the wind out of you, and possibly break ribs. If the explosion would have made him fly more than 10 feet, he would have had a lot worse injuries, causing him to stay in a hospital for a while. From watching this scene, you can tell he has the wind knocked out of him and maybe broken ribs by the way he holds his side. He would have damage to his spine, which wouldn't have allowed him to get up as quick as he did, and maybe not at all. Fact check number 3. Our man Cole coming to save the day with a cool car scene. He rams the car and it does the Tootsie Roll in the air and crashes straight into his house. Plus, he doesn't have a seatbelt on. A rollover car accident can have skull fractures, traumatic brain injuries, spinal damage, and sometimes end up paralyzed. Not wearing your seatbelt can cause you to be ejected from the car and end up in fatality. Yes, this is a movie and we want the kid to live, but I love movies that are realistic. I'm not saying I wanted all these injuries to occur to him, but I would have liked to see a few broken bones to add to how badass this kid actually is. Now, please remember to not find a satanic babysitter that will put you or your kid through hell. Don't fall from high places and wear your seatbelt if you're going to go Dukes of Hazzards on us. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Bailey Ramsier, and this has been Fact Check. Happy Valentine's Day.
I'm Cody Nance, and I am the DC Defender. In a world where dumb, over-the-top action movies or comedies are reigning supreme, I seem to be the only one who recognizes the strengths of the DC Extended Universe. It tried to do so much more than just be a generic by-the-numbers superhero movie, and I truly believe that most of the DC films are a whole lot better than the repetitive comedy movie that the MCU has been putting out for the last 10 years. I will be explaining the complex themes that the films explore that, judging from the Rotten Tomatoes ratings, most people just didn't seem to get, and addressing the obvious half-baked criticisms that I'm tired of hearing. Starting right now with Man of Steel. The year was 2013, and I could honestly care less about Superman. For real, up until Man of Steel, I thought that Superman was one of the most dull characters ever put to the page of a comic. This was largely because at the time I had only been exposed to the first Christopher Reeves film, Superman 3, and Superman Returns. Man of Steel released to theaters, and even though I wasn't the biggest fan of the character, I saw that Zack Snyder and Christopher Nolan had worked on the film, so I promptly begged my parents to take me since I couldn't drive myself at the time. What followed changed my perspective on Superman forever. Man of Steel is a realistic take on how people in our world would legitimately react if this godly being from another planet just showed up one day, and how difficult it would be growing up not knowing your full potential or where you came from. One of the biggest complaints I hear with this movie is about Jonathan Kent, Soup's adopted father. There are two major scenes that are always pointed out while discussing him. The first being after preteen Clark saves a bus full of classmates, and of course, they all tell their parents. Clark asks his father, the only source of knowledge he can really trust in his life, what he was supposed to do. Just let them die? Jonathan Kent says maybe. Now, of course, he wasn't telling Clark that he simply thinks it would be best if all of those kids died. He's saying he doesn't know. There's no book on raising the first alien in the history of Earth. All that he knows is he's concerned for his son's well-being and truly believes that if he reveals himself and what he can do to the world, that he will be hated, hunted, maybe even tested on, perhaps killed. No father wants that for their son. This is even further illustrated with his other most criticized scene, the tornado. This scene shows that 1, these people are obviously from Kansas, believing the myth that if you get under an overpass that you will be safe from a tornado, which of course isn't true. But in the time period this scene takes place, people really believe that, adding a layer of realism to the film. Second, it is not dumb that Clark didn't save his dad from the tornado. His whole life he's trusted the Kents, who had been telling him how bad it would be if the world knew what he was. So he trusts his dad's judgment when he tells him, no, don't save me, the time is not right. It is not until he meets his real father from Krypton that he thinks it's time to be the Superman. When Jor-El gives the awesome speech, you will give the people of the Earth an ideal to strive for. They will race behind you. They will stumble. They will fall. But in time, they will join you in the sun. The next thing I'm sick of hearing is that Superman never smiles. Yes, he does. When he's learning to fly for the first time, a scene that evokes more emotion and character than the entirety of the MCU, and when Lois asks him about his symbol. And by the way, Amy Adams crushes it as Lois Lane. And once again, I must remind everyone that this is supposed to be the study of what if Superman were real. He's all alone in this world. The man who raised him died to keep him a secret. The first people of his race that he meets try to kill him, the people he loves, and the entirety of Earth. There isn't much to smile about when you really think about it, is there? Superman's emotions are real. He's not one of the sociopathic Avengers who are cracking one-liners and laughing as they murder countless numbers of people. Superman kills one person, Zod, the bad guy, the last of his race. And the weight of that literally brings him to his knees as he screams in anguish. Superman didn't kill Zod just because he bad guy. He killed him because he literally had no other choice. Zod is trained and more tactical and was inches away from murdering a family with children. Yes, there is a lot of Jesus allegory in this film. But in real life, if a man started flying it from the sky and saving people, what would be the first thing people compare him to? Exactly. Thank you for entertaining this rant. Hopefully I have shined some light on the extremely brilliant details in Man of Steel, and that you might find a new respect for this film, in the same way that it gave me a new respect for Superman.
Thanks, everyone. That's all from me. Let's check in with Mr. Dr. Love Guru Man Jones, and then we will have a quick break, followed by the best takes slightly off. Stay tuned.
You believe that wife is cheating on you? What leads to these accusations?
According to the World Health Organization, by 2025, the average life...
That is conclusive evidence indeed. Let's see. Who could it be, and what can you do? Tell me, does she have sister?
And in the United States, where by the end of today...
Yes, that is what I was afraid of.
I'll come back to this instead.
No, why would I ever tell you to do that? No, I was implying that she is leaving you for sister. How dare you, sir? You are beyond help. The nerve on these people. Welcome back to Nerd Central. We are the best take, and it's the week I've finally been waiting for. We are talking about the Sonic the Hedgehog OVA, because the live action movie's coming out, and if you can't afford to get to the theater for that, we're gonna see if this is an adequate substitute. So, First of all, Kyle. I know that you are adamantly against Sonic in most cases. So here's the speaking ball.
Speak.
Okay, I'm not against the idea of Sonic, I guess. He's fine as a video game character that primarily targets children, I think. Not that adults can't enjoy the video games either, but just like we've had disagreements on what is the target audience of Sonic before. I think that this movie, if we're calling it a movie, it's like what, 50 minutes?
Yeah.
50
Yeah.
something.
It's good for what it is. You know, I'll give it that. I liked the animation style. I thought that in terms of like story, it's kind of all gobbledygook to me. But I think that they did what they could.
I would like the ball, please.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Will would like the
wants the ball.
speaking ball.
Okay.
Now, I think it was a good use of that term gobbledygook. It's a Sigur Rós song, you can look it up. I disagree. I think Sonic is mostly for all families and adults
Yes,
and stuff.
William!
I have not been to a single bar or club where they haven't said, hey, we're having a Sonic-themed night. Bring all your Sonic stuff, and we will celebrate this creature together. Hence, I think that this movie just is the start of something beautiful.
Yeah.
I was watching it, and I'm actually a fan of Dragon Ball, and this was animated around the same time, so it has a kind of similar feel with the music and the animation style.
And in general, Sonic has like a shonen feel to it.
Yeah, for sure. And so with that, I was like, okay, this has my interest. I've seen this before. I've seen something like this before, but no, it was trash.
Well, I think that I think that the part of it is just the storyline, and so maybe one of us could kind of mirror out.
No.
Yeah,
Cody's
I
gonna
think
give the
Kyle
actual
and-
storyline. I'll give
I
you
was
the
gonna
good
comment on that.
storyline.
and
Yeah,
stuff, so.
go for it.
So we have Sonic, which is the blue guy, and Tails, which is his farly superior squirrel friend who can fly.
He's a fox.
Whatever.
A fox?
He can fly
Yes.
and run just as fast as Sonic. So there's no reason that he's not the star of the show
It's true,
instead
he
of
can actually
Sonic.
fly.
He also built a plane.
But anyways, Sonic is letting his squirrel friend Tails drown when this weird owl guy comes up to them in a biplane on the beach. And he's like, the president needs to see you right now.
He's like, why didn't you just call?
And so the president and his daughter, who like, I don't know, imagine your typical anime girl.
Yeah.
His daughter's an anime girl.
She's a literal anime cat girl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she has a tail. He doesn't have a tail, but
Why
his
does she
daughter
have a
does
tail?
have
I
a
was
tail.
going to
I
ask.
really don't know. Those
Yeah.
characters aren't in the game. They're just there for this movie.
Dude, what is that? Why did she randomly start? Continue.
No, you're good. But so they send the president is being held at gunpoint by Dr. Eggman, who I think is Jim Carrey in the new movie, right?
Yes.
All right, and then I tell you what, I'll pass it off to Will because I've been talking a lot. Will, take it from here.
Well, I don't really know what because the thing is, I'm not really sure what happened next, but Eggman, hence his name, he wanted to build the Metal Sonic. That's basically the whole like conflict of the movie, is that this giant cauldron of sorts is getting filled with so much energy, and I guess Sonic and Tails are the only ones who can stop it, and
Knuckles
also
shows up.
defeat.
Knuckles
yeah,
does
and
show up
also
with a
defeat
cowboy
Metal
hat.
Sonic.
Knuckles shows up with a cowboy hat for some
So
reason.
that was cool.
That's
Question. So
What?
when I was watching it, I was like, yo, I love Knuckles. He's always one of my favorite
awesome.
picks to play with him when I'm playing a Sonic game. But I was confused at why he was like randomly came out of the ground and like why he had a cowboy hat on.
because Knuckles is a treasure hunter. Metal Sonic stuff, super cool. I love Metal Sonic, and the way that they deal with him, like at the end when he's in the volcano, and then he slaps Sonic's hand away when he's trying to save him. He's like, there can only be one Sonic. And that's so cool. This one or the new one?
I would say that this one's shorter and it's free on YouTube, so I recommend people waste an hour of their time and $0 instead of 2 hours and $10 at the movie theater here.
Okay.
I think that millions of families and children and elders will look at this film someday and be like, wow, what an archive. There's nothing wrong with this film. I think it's fine, I suppose, but I can't wait for the new Sonic the Hedgehog movie, which I will be supporting. So yeah, like 10 out of 10.
Wait, so
10 out of 10.
movie or so the new one or this one?
Both.
Okay.
Okay. It was weird because when I first started watching this movie, I was like, I wonder what Sonic would be like in the real world. So I guess the new one, honestly, because that's the first thing that came to mind.
I'm going to support the new one just because of how hard everybody worked on that film and like actually accepting fan feedback, which is something very rare in the industry. So I'm obviously going to go see that. In regards to this film, I think it's cool to look back at what Sonic used to be and what he's become. So I'm going to go along with Will and say you should probably watch both.
Okay.
All right. Everybody's happy.
Everyone.
Happy I don't have to watch any more Sonic.
Yeah. Oh, I will find an excuse.
God.
Don't push me.
Cody, don't get creepy. Please close out the show.
All right.
Please.
All right. We have been The Best Take. You can catch us on KZLX at 7 o'clock on Tuesdays if you don't want to look at our beautiful faces. And Nerd Begins up next. I'll see you guys next week on Nerd Central.